For those folks who may need Spanish interpretation, Mr. Mejia is here.
Para las personas que necesiten escuchar esta conferencia en español, ver a los presentadores pero escucharla en español, si así lo prefieren, al pie de la pantalla van a encontrar el icono de un globo terrestre sobre el cual ustedes pueden hacer un clic o apretar para escoger la opción Spanish o español. Muchas gracias.
And we also have our sign language interpreter who is here for those who need those services. So I will turn it over to Kia Middleton Murphy.
Good evening, everyone. It's so wonderful to see so many people here. We've had a week of snow, and it's nice after 2 years to see a little snow. I was excited about it because I got to take my first and only grandchild out in the snow, and then his parents or the parents made me take the baby back.
No.
But that said, I'm glad to see everyone tonight. We have a well-packed agenda, so I'm excited and delighted to have some guests tonight. If we could go ahead and first, I do want to make sure that we introduce our co-chairs, and then immediately following, we have the new supervisor for the Resolution and Compliance Unit with us tonight. So with no further ado, the co-chairs, I can't see everybody on my screen, but I'm looking for any of you to go ahead and just jump off mute.
Hi, I'm Brooke Levy. I'm one of the co-chairs. I am a parent of a 15-year-old who receives special education services. So she's a 9th grader. And I'm also the executive director of the Down Syndrome Network of Montgomery County. Thanks and welcome.
Connie or Amy or Mr. Yingfeng?
Good evening, everybody.
Hi. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Connie Nepomuceno. I'm the other SECAC co-chair. I've been attending SECAC meetings since my child was 3.5 years old, and I always learn something new every time I attend. And I'm so glad we're in this journey together. If you're new, welcome. Please put in your name on the chat and what school or what district you're in. No district, what part of Montgomery County you're in. We will be happy to connect with you, and happy first meeting of 2024. I'm so excited. So thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jingfeng Huang. I'm one of the co-chairs. I'm a father of 11 years old and 15 years old. The 11 years old daughter is a special need at Dufif Elementary School. And my 15 years old is actually at Richmond Montgomery High School. So I'm also in another head as a parent manager of a nonprofit organization. We call it Special Education Equal Development Society. We are organizing all kinds of free classes and sports, music, art, also some recreational activities for special needs students. So if any of the families who are actually looking for those kind of free services or recreational or after school classes activities, please feel free to get in touch with us. We will be really glad to help anyone who are in need. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Bloom. It's nice to see everyone here. We have 2 boys, a 4th grader at Bethesda Elementary and a 7th grader at Westland who receives special education services. We are also now the proud new owners of a 6-month-old puppy. So things are very chaotic in our house right now, but also, lots more love. So it's a nice way to start the new year.
Wonderful. Enjoy the potty training. Okay, just verifying, Allison, are you with us this evening? Okay, I don't think she is with us, but Mr. Gerald Liacano, if you want to come off mute and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Gerald Diacono. I am the new supervisor of the Resolution and Compliance Unit for Montgomery County Public Schools. My experience is primarily representing school systems. But on the very day that I was appointed by the board, was the initial IEP meeting for my 3-year-old. So I am also the parent of a child with a disability now as well. So it was interesting to see the different perspectives working with MSDE and in different roles with school systems, but now also as a parent myself.
Well, we are delighted to have you. It's been not a few months, but years. So welcome,
Feels
Gerald.
bad.
We're gonna glue you to the chair so that you stay with us. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, tonight, this is the first time ever this year we have public comment. So Miss Jackie Renfro has joined us. She is going to talk about creating professional development for teachers on school choices for students with individualized education programs. Ms. Renfro?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everybody. I haven't been on one of these calls in a while, but I'm glad to be back on, and thank you to everyone who participates and works. I just wanted to say thank you to the chairs first for this opportunity to speak to the committee, and I appreciate all the hard work that you put into collaborating with MCPS leadership to improve the system for our children with special needs. I am, of course, first and foremost, a parent of 3 neurodiverse children and all enrolled in MCPS, 2 who currently have IEPs. I have one who's at Falls Mead Elementary with an IEP. Oh no, I have 2 at Falls Mead Elementary, both that have IEPs, and then I have one at Frost Middle School. I'm also a public policy advocate for X-Minds. I'm a member of the newly formed Rockville Education Commission and adjunct faculty at Johns Hopkins University School of Education, where I'm finishing up my master's in education as well. With my pulse on the community, I know that so many families would benefit from additional knowledge of the special education programs available to children in Montgomery County. As it stands today, it's up to the parents to look for, inquire about, and talk to their school IEP teams about possible program placement for a child who's not thriving in the homeschool environment. While I understand time and money are always a constraint, I'm hoping that dedicating just 1 day a year or even a half day to educating administrators and special educators on county programs would benefit everyone, especially parents and students. While ideally all teachers and staff could be included, at the very least, I see this as an informational session for those working in the special education department of every school at every level. The idea would be that the representatives from each specialty program could talk to the group of educators and describe their program and the profiles of the students who attend these programs. Or if permitted, special educators, especially those working with transitional grades such as pre-K, 5th grade, 8th grade, and 12th, could visit these school sites and see the program in action to get a better sense of what the day-to-day model looks like. I am open to other methods of educating the necessary staff. It is just such a shame that these unique and potentially life-changing special education programs exist in our county, and yet so many parents, students, and even special education teachers do not know they exist. This creates a huge barrier to access, especially for those from minority, low-income, and first-generational homes where parents historically are not as engaged in the placement process. Although I know the law has placed an enormous burden on parents in the IEP process, it does not benefit the schools either to be spinning in circles when there are better placement options out there for the non-successful students. And I think this would benefit everybody involved, staff, children, and parents. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay. We also have Ms. Shameen Williams. Her topic is adding National Special Education Day to the school calendar. Ms. Williams, are you here with us? So I guess that means I'm going to sing to you while we wait patiently, give it a little bit of wait time. I'm not a singer, so I'm
Please
not
sing
gonna
to
do
us,
that.
Miss.
No, you don't want that. I only sing to my grandchild.
I'm so excited to hear it.
Okay, well, if Miss Williams joins us later on, maybe we can pick her up at the end. We certainly want to give parents the opportunity to share their perspectives, and always we look for the opportunities to improve what we're currently doing. With that said, I will walk you through the agenda. We have already done our introductions and our public comment. Next, I am excited to have Ms. Mary Beth Matsuranis join us again. She is our Family Support Services Coordinator. And before she begins, I do want to say that I have received quite a few emails to know about a rescheduling of a recent professional development. So if you have that date and any upcoming dates, please make sure to share that with parents this evening.
You've got it.
All right, thank you so much. And then after Ms. Matsuranis, we also have some guests. Oh, I don't want to forget Sharon from Parks and Planning. We do want to make sure that you have an opportunity to share any updates about summer opportunities. We also have, and I don't want to pronounce your name wrong, but I'm going to try it, Nair Ragani, Dr.
Yep.
Nair Ragani. Okay, from Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services, and Loretta Beard, who is a program specialist from Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services. So we'll go ahead and start with Ms. Matsuranis.
Okay, hi everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I know Kia just referenced Sharon, and part of what I'm going to talk about today actually includes Sharon from the Parks Department, so Rex Department. So I think we're going to be good there. If you look at the screen right now, our upcoming workshops, if you have a child who is preschool aged, you should have received already from your parent educator the workshop flyer for the importance of play. That's happening on Tuesday, January the 30th at 1 o'clock. Just sort of a heads up, we always send out our preschool flyers through the parent educators. So moms and dads and aunties, uncles, everybody who's here, if your child is in our preschool programs, you should be receiving a flyer at least once a month, because we always have at least a monthly workshop for preschool. So the next one is on Tuesday, January 30th at 1 o'clock. And I'll talk a little bit about where you can get flyer information as well. Moving into school age. So if you have a student with an IEP from ages 5 through 21, our first workshop in February is on Tuesday, February the 6th. And that's actually the one that Kia referenced, which is we had originally scheduled a summer camps workshop for January, I think the 9th. And that was one of the days that school was canceled. And whenever school is canceled, workshops also have to be canceled, even if they're virtual. So this is a rescheduling of that event. So that'll be Tuesday, February the 6th at 6:30. And Parks and Rec will be there. Like the Parks Department will be there, the Rec Department will be there, and actually Nair from My Turn will be there as well. So it's a great opportunity for all of you to see what programs are available this summer for your kids, especially if you have students who are going to be attending ESY. Okay, it's funny, you just put that picture up, but now I'm distracted by myself. Sorry. So if you're attending ESY, if your student is attending ESY, we do have summer camp programs that are available. And so this workshop will be super helpful for those of you. It's Zoom. I just saw that question. Everything is virtual. We have not started doing in-person workshops because so far we haven't really had great turnout. So all of the workshops listed on this screen are all virtual. So again, this workshop, I'll tell you where all of the information can be found, but just those of you who are looking for summer camp options as far as the county goes, you want to make sure that you tune in on February the 6th. Wednesday, February the 7th at 1 o'clock during the daytime, we're actually having a workshop sponsored by CHAD, which is Children and Adults with Attention Deficit. And the workshop is being held by Dr. Keller. And his title is Helping Kids and Teens with ADHD and/or Executive Functioning Challenges to Thrive. And this workshop is really, it came about because a lot of parents who call me with questions or concerns are around, you know, the executive functioning issues that their kids are having, and how can they support them at home, and how can we sort of connect that to what's happening at school. So that workshop will be on Wednesday, February the 7th. And then at the end of the month, on Wednesday, February the 28th at 6:30, we're doing a workshop with Dr. Baldwin, who is a school psychologist for MCPS. And she's gonna talk about understanding assessments and evaluations. We have a lot of parents who, you know, there's some confusion or questions about sort of how the process works. And then really what assessments are used, what happens if I get my own private assessments, why does the school system want to do their own assessments? And this workshop sort of really talks you through like what the law states has to happen, and then what we do in MCPS, and how we sort of match those results with, you know, the conversations in the IEP process. So for those of you who have questions, this would be a great workshop for you to attend as well. So that's what's happening, you know, January and February. And when we start talking about, okay, well, where can I find this information? If you go to, so thank you, Derek. So Derek is my partner in crime. He's our IT professional. And he has been amazing to work with, because I'll email him and say, hey, I need to throw this together. What's the best way to make this work? So if we go back to the top where, Derek, can you scroll back down just to show the carousel at the top? So if you look at the top of my page, and you can go to the MCPS website and type in special education, and you'll get like the main page that talks about all the different services. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see like different links, and then you go to Family Support Center. That's me. And Family Support Center is really, it's like a belief, right? As opposed to maybe an actual location. So our belief is that families need support. They need a place or a person that they can go to get help. And I am the person you can come to, but I'm not the one with all the answers. But what I am is almost like a navigator. So if you call me and you have questions and concerns, my number one goal is to provide you connections that will help you to get the answers to your questions. A lot of the time I can do that for you, but sometimes I can't, right? So sometimes I reach out to special ed supervisors, or I'll reach out to our community partners. And that might be, you know, someone from X-Minds, or it might be someone from the Autism Society, or it might be somebody from the ARC, or it might be any of our community partners that we work with. So this place is a great place for you to come when you're not sure, like what to ask, what to look for, like what's next. You know, a lot of times parents come to me because they really just don't understand what's happening with their child. And sometimes there's not even a problem at school, right? Moms and dads, or aunties, uncles, grandparents, they call and they're like, we're really struggling. What can we do? And so my goal is always to help you to feel like you have somebody in your corner who's there to provide you like connections to resources, to listen, right? Like sometimes we all just need somebody to hear what we have to say and really be empathetic and understand the struggle. And we're all here for you for that, but I'm really here for you for that, right? So you can always call me or reach out to me. And so if you're looking at my page, you'll have my email address, which, you know, it's the same as everybody's, but my cell phone number is listed there. That is the best way to call me. Get in touch with me. You can call me, you can text me. Kia always wants me to remind people I'm only part-time. I work 15 hours a week. But if you call me or text me when you are really struggling with something, even if I'm not working, I will get your message and I'll respond to you. And it might be a text that just says, hey, I'm not working today, but you know, you sound like you're very upset. So let's set up a meeting for 7 o'clock tonight. You know what I mean? Like whatever you need to sort of help you get through that moment of crisis. That's our goal, because the school system wants to be responsive to your needs. And sometimes all it takes is just like a listening ear, right? And so definitely reach out to me at that number. If you reach out and I don't respond for whatever reason, you can call the office number. Anybody there can help you. Or if you really want to speak with me, they'll take a message and get in touch with me. Okay. So, looking at again, sort of looking at the format here on the resource page, you'll see where it says new and it says February events. So this is a bulletin that I try to put together, and I say, like, I started off with quarterly, and now I'm going to try to move to monthly. But really the events bulletin shares with you workshops that we're putting on, but it also shares with you workshops that are happening in other areas and locations. So you see that Derek just pulled it up for us. The very first one on here is around coffee and conversations. That's not run by MCPS, right? But that's an organization. It's called Parents Place of Maryland. They have a virtual workshop every month, you know, based on ages. And so it's just it's a great place to go to sort of talk to people. And then again, the next one that's listed on here happens to be a workshop that I had planned that got snowed out. But now we're going to have that in February. And then the next one is a transition to middle school that was hosted by the Down Syndrome Network of Montgomery County. So what I try to do in these bulletins is pull together different workshops that are happening that I just feel might be beneficial to people. And so what I've found, some of the parents I've spoken to, is that even when things don't work out for them, like maybe they can't attend a workshop, they're now connected to an organization that can offer them supports and services that they really do need. So, our message to all of you is always, like, we're not endorsing necessarily any of these things, but we're saying to you, there's a lot out there, right? And sometimes it's too much to sort of work through on your own. So we try to put it together in a place for you so that you can kind of pick and choose, and then maybe say, like, oh, this family skating activity, that would have been great. We couldn't make this one. I wonder if they're going to have another one. So then maybe you call and say, hey, are you guys running, another special? I'm looking at that date. Saturday, January 25th would be incorrect. This day is the 25th. So that must be the 27th. Sorry. But again, so you can email.
It already happened.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
With last weekend.
So clearly I have a problem with calendar. So I apologize for that. But the point being that that's something that you're like, oh, Down Syndrome Network runs things like this, right? So let me get on their mailing list so that I can make myself aware of what's happening out there. And so my goal is always with these bulletins is to provide you with information. What you do with it, it's totally up to you. Some parents, they're like, I can't take one more thing. And some parents are like, I need more things. So this is, just really something for you to sort of work through and say, like, yep, this matters to me. This is maybe not important to me right now. So when you look at the website where it says new January, you should next week, is it next week that February starts? You should see new February bulletin. And then Derek, can you scroll real quick for me all the way to the bottom? Because underneath the resources, keep going, underneath, see how it says month of December? So the January things will move there, and then the February things will be up top. So again, hopefully it allows you to kind of have a resource to go back to like, maybe you're like, oh, I know at one of these meetings they talked about something. So hopefully this page will help you. I mean, I know it's a lot of words. I do. And unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that part. But again, sometimes people will call me and be like, I think you heard something, you mentioned something. Can you give me more information? And then I can do that. So you don't have to go through the forest to get there, right? I can help you get there. So I think the next part of my webpage that we talked about is the resources section. So I've sort of addressed this in the past, but really just sort of as a reminder, you'll see the title, it says family resources, and then we have these tiles. The tiles have, titles, and then within each tile, there are different links. So let me just sort of set this up for you. As a school system, we really are motivated by parents and sort of what they need, right? I mean, we do have, confines and things that we have to follow, but if there are ways that we could be more available to people or provide more resources to families in need, that's our goal. That's what we want to do. And so there's the Maryland, like the survey that comes out for all families of special education students. And this is like my first plug. When you get it, please fill it out. because even though I know you feel like, oh, I do it every year and nothing ever changes, things are changing. It's just change can be really super slow sometimes. And so we're working on that to sort of maybe speed it up. But hearing from families who say, these are the things that I need. I need to be around other families who have kids like my kid. I need connections to organizations that will support my family as we're sort of going through this. Like, we're cool with our kid, like we love our divergent child. That's not the issue. The issue is, how do we ensure that our kid has access and opportunity for everything that's out there, right? So our goal then is to help you sort of find those resources. And so this summer we worked with some staff who work for MCPS to say, like, okay, hey, here are the big nuggets that came up on the survey. Parents want connections, they want organizations, they want, support for certain things. And then we also know as a school system that we do have families who need help with things like childcare and diapers and food resources, all of those kinds of pieces. And so we came together this summer and we worked with staff to say, find out what's out there, right? And so everybody, the people that we hired all pulled things in. We created this gigantic Google page that had all of these tabs. And then I work with Derek, who's the one manning the screen right now, to sort of figure out the best way to present that information to you. So I am going to say to you, it is a work in progress, right? And we are open to your suggestions. But the topics that came up were ones that are sort of already out there. And then we identified services that fit within those. So again, we are not necessarily endorsing anybody, right? But they are opportunities for you to reach out to folks to see if it's a good connection for what you and your family need. So there have been a few omissions, right? We have had some requests from parents around tutoring, for example. And actually I talked with one of the co-chairs about that, because it is a missing link right now, because MCPS no longer provides that. And even when they did, it really seemed to only reach some kids, just again, because you have limited staff and limited resources. So we have been working to really sort of figure out what's out there and what's available. And so that's a tile that Derek and I have talked about possibly adding to this list. I've had a couple of organizations reach out and say, like, hey, can you add us? And, once we verify them, just again, we want to make sure that we're sending people to places that are actually going to help you. So we do sort of check in and make sure their website is accurate. Like, Derek's gone through and he's checked everybody's website, make sure that those links are accurate. I've tried to reach out to actual organizations and say, hey, is it okay for me to refer families to you? Are you still in a place where you're accepting new families? Because there's nothing worse, right, than thinking you have this connection and then finding out, like, oh no, we're not doing that anymore. So we are trying to stay on top of all of that. But as we sort of move through the year, we're making adjustments and changes. And so I've said this to parents as I speak to them, but now that I have this audience of 40 of you, if there are organizations that you're like, oh my gosh, they were amazing for our family, please reach out to me. Let me know. We will add them. I'll reach out to the organization. We'll have the conversation. And we really do want to make sure that we're including kids from like that pre-K level, right, all the way through 21. And so there are lots of things out there that are available to families. And I just think sometimes we get caught in this place where everything is just too overwhelming, and I get it. So,
Mary Beth, you had a quick question.
oh, sorry. I'm not even
childcare-
looking at that.
No, that's all right. I got you. The child care resources, are those for all children or specifically for children with disabilities?
So the ones that are listed there are for kids with disabilities. And I will tell you, I think it's Bright something or another. They're the one we always refer, and it's because they've sort of gone through, and Amy could probably speak to this better than I can, but Maryland has their blueprint sort of project, and that idea is that we're including all kids, right, from the earliest ages on, all kids with disabilities into opportunities to receive education, elementary school, preschool, like all of those pieces, right? And so we have certain daycare centers that have really sort of stepped up and said, like, yes, we're going to take kids with disabilities. But again, that comes down to numbers of kids, numbers of staff, like those kinds of things. So yes, the things that are listed in there are around kids with disabilities, but it's definitely not fully inclusive in terms of there. I'm sure there are more out there. We're not there yet. Does that answer the question? Sorry,
I
Kate.
think so. I
Yeah, I
think
was gonna
so.
say, I don't see. So again, I mean, I think, and one of the comments that we've heard from people too is that maybe the title of the tile doesn't always align with the resource. So if you happen to be a community provider and you're like, oh no, my group should be in, meaningful day in employment, by all means, please reach out. Like our goal is not to house information, right? We want to share it. And I'm going to be fully honest with you. I struggled because when we got all of these resources, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then immediately I was like, and overwhelming, right? So I really struggled with the best way to present this information. And so like special ed, we met and, Stacy and Jen Benson and me and Kia, like we had this whole conversation and Amy about like, do we hold on to information and sort of like hand it out as needed, or do we put it all out there and then act as the people who provide that level of support? And that's where we landed. So Derek has put all of the, the actual physical website together. And thank you again for that. But there's always room for improvement, right? And we're learning and growing with all of you. So again, if there are experiences that you as parents have had that you're like, oh, we should definitely include this, or staff, please, by all means, reach out to me. But our goal again is just we wanted to make sure you had the things at your fingertips. And then maybe once you got there, okay, I have some questions, so let me reach out to Mary Beth. So hopefully, that's how it all plays out. And I really do. I wish that I could create situations that are just unavailable at this point. Sometimes I talk to parents and my heart hurts because the resources that we have don't align necessarily with what they need. And it's not MCPS's fault. It's not whatever. It's just that as a school, as a county, as a state, as a, at the federal level, there's only so much we can do. But there are a lot of resources out there. So sometimes when we bump up against a dead end, like don't give up, right? Make sure that you're coming back to us, because we can always look into, what does DDA have? What do some of these other organizations that offer waivers and grants and all of these other opportunities? How can we help you and provide you with the resources that you need? Is really what it comes down to. So again, website is a work in progress, but I think that we thought the tiles would be helpful. And again, I think I've said this before, I got this idea from our transitions unit. For those of you who have kids 14 and older, please make sure you're going to the transition services unit page. They have lots of great resources there. Preschool families, make sure that you are, touching base with your parent educators. But this is like just sort of a drop zone for everybody, right? It runs the gamut across all of the ages. So I hope that it's helpful. I do know sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, it's too much, but at least it's something, right? It's a good starting point. And so obviously we are here to help you. So along the way, if there are questions, concerns that you have, if you want to add to the resource page, or if you have questions about the resource page, or you reach out to a resource and maybe it doesn't get you where you want to be, again, I mean, that's why I'm here. So please, by all means, feel free to call me or email me. And I think that's really it as far as the website goes. And then I think the other piece that I would say to you is just that reminder that we're having our special ed resource fair. And I know that a lot of the people on this call are actually like organizations. And so we're going to be pushing out that email to all of you soon about attending the resource fair. But for those of you who went last year, like we had activities for kids, we're going to have that again this year. We're going to have all of the tables with our outside organizations and MCPS offices. And then we're also going to offer workshops. So we're going to have either 3 or 4 different workshops happening throughout the, 4 hour, 3 hours of the fair. And all of that information, we're actually working with communications this year. So it's all going to come out, from a system level. But I think it's just a great place for you to also see in person now, right? Because a lot of these resources are, they're virtual, right? A lot of the workshops that we're running. But the resource fair is in person. And it's a chance for you to actually say like, oh, you're Mary Beth in the flesh. You're much shorter than I thought you would be. Because yes, I am. But thank you, Connie. The fair was amazing last year. It was our first time sort of doing it that way, almost like a college fair, where you just go to different tables. And, we got some great feedback from parents, and we've really tried to implement it for this year's. I think I saw a question about childcare. We're not offering childcare. So last year, like our recommendation was bring a friend, and maybe the friend could take your kid, because there's going to be things for your child to do, right? There's going to be moon bounces and a gaga pit and face painting and tattoo artists and a balloon person and like an art station. And we're going to have a DJ there, and there's like a lot of fun things that kids love. But as far as the childcare piece, there's just too much involved in it. So your kids are welcome. And again, like the workshops are voluntary, obviously. I think there'll be some good information there, but even if you came just for your kid to bounce around for a little while and to pick up different information, I think you would still find it like super valuable. At least that was our feedback last year. And that is my goal and my hope for this year as well. And I think
Mary Beth, one more time, and you have it on the screen. Never
Yep.
mind. That's what I was gonna say. Okay, great.
I was gonna say, I think I did my 20 minutes. But yeah, so I mean, are there any questions about, and again, I didn't access the chat at all because I was distracted by myself, the chat, so I had to get rid of all of it. So are there any questions that I can respond to?
I think mostly Mary Beth, you were getting a lot of kudos and real appreciation
Aw.
for the really helpful information.
Oh,
And
awesome.
it's
And
nice.
it's
Others
not
are,
me. It's not me, everybody. It's it's a whole group of us, but thank you.
and others are piping in with information about some of their resources too, which is helpful.
Awesome.
I did like the last idea that was suggested about having scouts there, boys and Girl Scouts. I have an Eagle Scout, so I do know, as was indicated, that these are typically very friendly and welcoming groups, especially for being comfortable with neurodiverse youth. It's just, they can be very welcoming organizations. So
Great. Yeah, we would love that, because we actually talked this year about including a couple of the POMs from different schools. And I believe that our DJ, Stacy can speak to this, but our DJ is actually a former student with Down syndrome who has a DJ company or something similar. Stacy, am I accurate?
You're absolutely correct. We're very excited to welcome him. He's a senior at Whitman. So we're excited to have him join us.
Yes, DJ Anderson. There you go, right?
Yep.
And just because, I couldn't help but to think about this could also be an opportunity for some of our young people to earn SSL hours.
For
So we
sure.
could probably link back up with Shella Cherry to figure that out.
I should have said that. So last year we did, actually Jen Benson sent out an email, and we pushed it out to all high school Ritzies, who then pushed it out to their students about earning SSL hours. So, and there's a Google form. So yes, if you have students who are high school age who not only might want to participate, but also want to earn some hours, we're all about that. And this will definitely be an SSL opportunity. I think the Eagle Scout thing is a great idea. I had not thought about that at all. So I will certainly go back to look at the, the chat to find out who I need to speak with, or hopefully somebody will help me there. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. The committee is actually meeting next week, so we can talk a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And seeing there are no more questions, we will move right along in our agenda. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Question. I raised my hand. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Will the January summer camp information Zoom link work for the new date?
Yes. And
Okay.
oh, I'm glad you said that because I didn't follow up with that. So all of the flyers for all of the workshops are always posted on my website. So if you go to the Family Support Center, they're always there with all of the links. Derek also pushes them out to our MCPS Special Education Facebook page and our MCPS X account. I don't know, it feels so weird to say that, the Twitter. So you can always get it there. But yes, I actually did not change the Zoom information at all. It's the same as the one from January. We just sort of update it because actually Nair, who's going next from my turn, will also be there at this workshop. Derek, I see it. It's like not the second one on the photos section. Oh, there it is. But that's last time's, the January one. So anyway, yes, the information is the same. Unfortunately, they've already opened up the signups, but when I spoke with Sharon, she was like, yep, we definitely want to have this opportunity to talk to everybody about what's available. So I think it'll be a great workshop for everyone, and lots of opportunity for people to ask questions.
So before we go any further, I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, but you know, I'm always here to recruit. And so I understand we have 2 interns that have joined us. So I want to thank Tyler and Esther for being here. And we hope that all of these warm, smiley faces will encourage you to seek employment with Montgomery County Public Schools next year.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are ready to move along in our agenda. So our next speaker can move right along.
Hey, good evening, everyone. We're with the My Turn program with Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services. My name is Loretta Beard, and I'm a program specialist in that program. And I'll turn it on to my coworker. Nair, are you muted?
I'm sorry. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
My name is Nair Rugani. I'm program specialist with Montgomery County My Turn program. I talk about My Turn program. My Turn program was developed in year 2000 by Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services Community Support Network to assist the family of children with developmental disabilities ages 3 to 13. It provides resources and referral to help families become connected to services in the community. We may provide financial assistance for items such as summer camp, recreation, and supplies. My Turn requirement, you have to reside in Montgomery County, child with developmental disability and ages 3 to 13. Children currently receiving other services such as autism waiver, community first choice, or coordination of community services, CCS, are not eligible for My Turn program. If you are interested about My Turn program, please call us at 240-777-1216 and someone get your information, and Loretta or myself, we're gonna contact you and we tell you what do we need from you and how we're gonna make the eligibility for My Turn program. The other subject is recreational activity through My Turn. Is like horseback riding or swimming. So the vendor, they have to accept our payment plan, the county payment plan. We cannot pay upfront for the services. We have to pay at the completion of the services. Like if they go for swimming, we cannot pay upfront for a session of swimming that usually is 6 weeks, but we pay at the end of the session. But we send the approval letter and we let the vendor and the family know that this child has been approved, for example, for $300. And then the vendor, they have to register online, CVRS for tax purposes. And then we apply for funding. One of our big funding is summer camp that for this fiscal year, it will become available February 12th, 2024. And the camp, the important thing is the camp must hold a valid summer camp license from a state or county or American Camp Association. The maximum amount of money after we make the eligibility for my turn, and if somebody wants camp and we apply for camp, the maximum amount of money is $1,000 that we can apply for it. The other subject is respite services of Montgomery County. One of the things is respite is not based on the income. My turn is not based on the income also. So it's very important that people realize it's not based on the income. And respite services of Montgomery County is a collaboration between the ARC of Montgomery County and Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services. And respite provides the program provides respite care to individuals who are unpaid caregiver living with a person with disabilities. When they approve, the respite is 140 hours a year, and if you don't use your hours, the hours cannot be transferred. And respite can provide a couple of hours a day of respite care, or you can use your respite for weekend, for weekend. Respite care is not entitlement program. And again, unused hour, you cannot transfer. You complete the application. The application is online. If you go to respite services under the children, under the age of 17, and one page of that application, the doctor needs to complete. Again, for respite, if you receive services from CFC, from autism waiver, or other state program, you are not eligible for respite services. So I don't provide the respite services of telephone number, because at the end of this session, we're going to give some information and all the telephone number is there. Now, Loretta, talk. Yes. Yes, but you can't, I believe you cannot use the respite and the list. Like if you want to use it for a services, you cannot use it the same time. They don't let you do it. But you can.
Are you talking about respite in the camp? Oh, list. Okay.
Yes. So you can't, they don't let you use especially respite. Like if you want to use, because sometimes you can use your respite hours. If you didn't use it, for example, you can use it for summer camp. But the summer camp, they have to be part of respite consortium. So if you want, for example, go 2 weeks of June and use your respite money, and respite agree to pay for that camp, that 2 weeks, you cannot use your lease money during that 2 weeks. You can use it in July or August, but it shouldn't conflict with each other. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Okay, and I'm going to talk about the autism waiver, model waiver, Developmental Disability Administration Services, and REM, which is referred to as Rare and Expensive Medical Condition. So autism waiver is a service that serves kids that are diagnosed with autism. Pretty much I like to tell all the families that you need to go ahead and apply to the autism waiver. Also make sure when you apply that if you should move, make sure you notify the registry of your change of address, because when the child name comes up, you will be notified and you want to make sure that your current information is given to them. So autism waiver provides a lot of services, as you can see, the respite care, environmental accessibility, adaptation, family consultation. Even though the waiting list is long, it's also good to apply because you never know when your child name will come up. So you want to be able to put your child on the registry and be notified timely. A day or two just makes it a little longer. We understand the waiting list is like 8 or 9 years, but please go ahead and apply. And all you need to do to call the registry is 1-866-417-3480. The model waiver basically started in 1985, and it allows medically fragile children or individuals who would actually be hospitalized to be at home and receive the same services. The admission must be completed before the child becomes 22 and must meet the definition of a disabled child. The individual must also be certified as needing hospitalization or nursing facility. Under the model waiver, the parent's income is not considered at all. So it will be important to go ahead and apply. There is a limit on the enrollment of 200 children. So a lot of times there is a wait list because they don't have a lot of services. But if you think that this service will be okay, part of this package, when you apply, they have to meet certain disability criteria, medically fragile diagnosis, and a copy of or a page of the application is completed by the physician. So you would call the Coordinating Center for Home and Community Care at 410-897-1048. The topic that I love very much is the Developmental Disability Administration. So I know I mentioned earlier that the autism waiver is 8 or 9 years. DDA, in past years, DDA did not allow people to do an application before they graduated from school. Usually by the time of 18, they would be considered transitioning youth and then apply. So when they do graduate, they'll have services. Now things have changed. You can apply for DDA services as young as 6, 7. You may not get services then. And even though the autism waiver waiting list is long, DDA created they have 3 services. What is called the Community Pathways Waiver Service, Community Support Waiver, and Family Support Waiver. So any of those waiver services could serve your child. So I always suggest to go ahead and put your child on the waiting list. When the child becomes of age, it's possible they could even get services before the autism waiver. Something to remember is that DDA doesn't give as much services than autism waiver because autism waiver provides like family support services and things like that. But you cannot keep autism waiver and the DD waiver. So it's one or the other. So if you apply for DDA and you should get that, you can go with it because when your child graduates from high school, and if they have autism waiver, they can no longer keep autism waiver when they graduate from high school. They have to transfer to the DD waiver. So once they become eligible, they can be in any three of those services: community pathways, family support, or community support services. The application that is done, once you complete the application and you submit it with the diagnosis or the child's IEP, I always recommend that you keep a copy. For those of us in Montgomery County, your application will go to the Southern Maryland Regional Office in Laurel. And once they get that application, you will be contacted like in 45 days for someone to come out and do an assessment. You can give the copy of any diagnosis, medical report, anything to that person that comes, because the person that is coming out has been contracted by DDA to come and do the assessment. Most time they may have the application, they may not have the supporting documents to justify your child's need. So I always encourage families to make additional copies of any reports that you have. If you say your child has autism or any diagnosis that they have, make sure the caseworker that's coming to do the eligibility has a copy of that document, because when they leave, they're going to write a report on the child disability and needs and services and submit that to DDA, and then DDA will then respond to you and let you know, okay, your child meets the diagnosis of developmental disability or disabled, but you're now on the waiting list. And that's what you want to get. You also want to explain to the person that's coming to do the assessment that there is a need. My encouragement to all the families, because I used to do the ENA, the eligibility and assessments, is that when families have kids that are younger or young, they don't think about tomorrow, like in the far end, like when my child graduates from high school, they're thinking about the moment. Services that DDA offers are things like personal support service, where they come into the home and work with the child, or the child goes to a day program. And they also develop, so the day program and the residential program are considered traditional services. But DDA introduced another program, it's called self-directed service, where a child, once they receive funding, can decide on who they want to hire. They can hire their parents, they can hire anybody that they want to, and they can pay them a reasonable rate based on the reasonable and customary rate that DDA creates. So my encouragement to family is not to think of your child being a 6-year-old forever. You want to think about the future. Will they, when they graduate from school, what's going to happen? Do you need support at home, or do they need a job? Will they need a job? Or do you think that your child will need a residential placement? And sometimes when the caseworker or the person that's coming to do the eligibility asks if you want residential, sometimes parents say, no, I don't want my child leaving this house, because they're thinking about the child being a 6-year-old. But that child is going to graduate. And you don't have to take, like Naia mentioned earlier, it's not an entitlement program. You don't have to take DDA services. If they tell you your child is eligible for residential and you realize you don't want them to go into a residential placement, you can ask for your services to be self-directed. With the new model, they can live at home and they can get the same services, or you can hire someone to provide the same services they would have been getting in a day program. So there is the traditional model of the day program, the residential that most of us know about. But on the other hand, they created the self-directed model. People who live at home with the families are the only ones who get self-directed services. You cannot get a self-directed service living in residential. So you can get job coaching, you can get personal support service, you can get services to go volunteer in the community, everything based on your need, even if you're in a self-directed service model. And we talked about, no, I haven't talked about REM. So REM is a rare and expensive medical condition. They have caseworkers that serve the individual. Part of the REM application has to be completed by a physician. REM case managers are either registered nurse or licensed clinical social worker and has the experience to work with your child. They will make sure that you have the assessment. I've seen REM caseworker offers nursing services to people who even who are transported to school. So they've also been in the classrooms as well. So REM offers you that support. You need to, it helps the recipient reach his or her higher level of functioning capabilities. And the doctor then, like I said, has to diagnose, or you have to have a medical condition that will prevent you from being independent, but you can still get the support that you need. So if you are interested in REM, the number is 410-333-5426. But again, there is an application form. All you need to do is have that form completed, submitted, submit the page or one page to the physician, submit that page in, and hopefully you're eligible for that service. So I'll let Naya touch base a little bit about LIS, child care subsidy, and child care subsidy.
I'm going to talk about LIS very briefly because I heard you had presentation. Somebody talked about LIS previously, but LIS is low intensity support services. It's offered through a state of Maryland, is not based on your income, and it provides up to $2,000. It's for children and adult, and it's based on random selection. Hopefully this year, lists become available round 1, May and June of 2024, and the random selection will be middle of July. If you are not selected, you can apply for round 2. That usually is from July 16 to end of November, and the random selection is December 15. So all this information I give you is from last year, but usually every year is almost the same. You have to complete, we encourage everyone to complete the application. The application become available May, and it's only 1 page. They don't want any document. You just complete the child name, address, social, and so it has to be electronically 1 page, and you send it. And if you be selected, they contact you. And then they give you like 3 weeks to sometimes more than 3 weeks to gather all the documents that they require. For LIS, you can use, if you be selected for up to $2,000, you can use the money for assistant technology like computer, laptop, iPad, educational software, caregiver services, attendant care, in-home support, recreation, and so on. Maryland Community Connection handled the list for Montgomery County, and their telephone number is 301-583-8880. The other subject I'm going to talk about it is child care subsidy. One of the program that is offered through Montgomery County is WPA, Working Parents Assistance. The department can help eligible family to pay for childcare. Parents complete the application and the worker make the eligibility. And families that their income is under scale for WPA, they will refer them to state, and they used to call it CCS. Now they call it Child Care Scholarship. So if you are interested about WPA that offers through Montgomery County, their telephone number is on your screen, 240-777-1177. And if you're interested about the state, if you want to get the information, you can call 410-767-0100.
Okay. I'm going to talk about community first choice. In order to get community first choice, you must have medical assistance. Community first choice offers services in home. They provide personal assistance services, environmental assessment. They even provide medical supplies, things like that. So it is a service that is under Medicaid. So when the person comes and does the assessment, actually the nurse will do the assessment. And then once Medicaid determine eligibility, then the person gets what they call a support planner. You will be assigned a support planner. The support planner will help you navigate the system to find an agency, and then the agency from staff from that agency will come and work with you based on the number of hours you were approved for. So if you apply for or interested in community first choice, you would call the 410-767-1739. If you are in Montgomery County, you should call the county number and just tell them you would like to have a nursing assessment done. The nurse will come out, do the assessment, and then they will then follow up with Medicaid. Unfortunately, since COVID, the wait time has been like a year. I understand from some folks that have applied because a lot more people had applied for medical assistance and applied for community first choice. So I'll let Nair handle the last two topics, the Social Security and M-CHIP. Nair, you're muted.
Sorry. SSI or supplemental security income is based on your income. It provides monthly cash payment to help meet the basic needs of the children with physical or mental disability. After you complete the Social Security application, it might take 3 to 5 months until you get the result. And their telephone number, again, it's in the chart. If you are interested about the Social Security, you can call 1-800-772-1213, or you can go online to the website, ssa.gov. The other subject I talk about is the medical assistant or Medicaid. It is the free healthcare for low-income individual. It's based on your income, and you can go online and complete the application, or you can go to one of the offices, medical assistant offices. They have offices in Silver Spring, Germantown, Rockville, or you can go to Test Community Center. And when you go to medical assistant office, of course, you can apply for example, SNAP, that previously they call it food stamps, or temporary cash assistance. If that is temporary cash assistance for emergency situations. The other program is Maryland Children Health Program. We call it M-CHIP, MCHP. And this is for the children under the age of 19 who are not eligible for medical assistance, also for pregnant women, any age, and children of employed parents whose employer does not offer health insurance. So these three categories, they are under the M-CHIP. Also, there is the premium M-CHIP. And it's like, because they have the income guideline, so if your income is just a little bit beyond their income, but you still meet those three categories, you have to pay premium. And the premium I have the information from 2020. I don't have any idea what's the premium now, but in 2020, the premium, it was $57 to $71 a month. So that's another opportunity for the people that they don't have insurance and they can get insurance for their family.
Okay, so I'm just going to recap all the topics and everything we talked about. We began our presentation talking about the My Turn program. Keep in mind, we pay for, like Naia mentioned, we pay for nutritional supplement, we pay for pull-ups, we pay for recreation activity, we pay for summer camp. The maximum for summer camp is $1,000. And she did mention the county is allowing us now to accept camp registration starting in February. The camp must be a registered camp and they must have a license. If the camp is not listed within our county system, it's called the county central vendor registration system is the county system. If the camp is not registered, but they do have a license, then we have to register because we don't pay them per check. We pay them electronically. When we go into the system, we have to select them based on what the address and everything that they've put in the system. So camp funding will be available very soon. And we also have contract with Jessa Medica that does the supplement, the Pediasure, the pull-ups. So if anybody need any of that, they can call the county number and it's on the My Turn program resources at a glance. And you have the My Turn number, which is 240-777-1216. When you call our office, just tell them you want to speak with someone in My Turn. They'll take your information. Naia and one of us will contact you. Also, if there is a language, Spanish, any language, Amharic, anything, we use the language line so we can always get an interpreter to come on our call with you and make sure we can address your need. We talked about respite services. Respite provides 140 hours for the year, and it's not transferable. Usually it's on a fiscal year from July 1st to June 30th. So the application comes out, you apply. If you apply, let's say in January, you will not get 140 hours. You might get 70 because it's 6 months from the time. 140 is for the full year. Then we talk about the autism waiver program that serves children with IDD, and there is an 8 to 9 year waiting list. But in order for you to get autism waiver, you must be registered. So you have to register. Again, I'm encouraging you that if you should move, please make sure you notify the registry about your change of address. Because if you're not available or they can't find you, then they're just going to skip over that name. I talk about the model waiver that serves medically fragile individuals, and there's no income requirement. We talked about the Developmental Disability Administration and the two services, about the traditional service model versus the self-directed service model, and that you don't have to wait until your child graduates from school to get the to apply for DDA. You can apply for DDA. Sometimes the waiting list is long. It may come through before you get autism waiver, but again, keep in mind, if your child gets autism waiver while in school, and when they leave school, they have to apply for the DD waiver. They can no longer keep the autism waiver. We talk about rare and expensive case management. You must have medical assistance. They discussed briefly about LISS and the lottery system, and you're awarded $2,000 if your child name is selected. We also talk about child care scholarship, the Working Parent Assistance Program, Community First Choice. In order to get Community First Choice, you must have medical assistance. and they serve children and adults. She discussed Social Security, medical assistance, and the M-CHIP program. So at this time, if anyone have any questions for us, please feel free. Are there any questions in the chat for us?
I think there was a question about, are there recreational programs you could list that have registered with the required My Turn County system?
We don't have a complete list, but if someone is interested, they can contact us and we'll have someone check the database to see if that provider is registered. Usually we don't have a specific camp. We don't want to stir families to just go to one particular vendor. The families are allowed to provide or select a vendor that live close to where they are, because we understand that a lot of issue is transportation based. So if the family has a request or a camp or a rec activity that they are interested in, they can just contact us and we'll check the database if the camp is registered. Now, in cases where the child very young and they may be looking for a camp that may, or they've been looking for a camp that don't serve children that are not potty trained, we could help them look around and see if we can find one that would offer it and give them the name, because they're very limited. A lot of the camps want kids that are potty trained. So it depends on what we can find, and then we'll let the family know. But the families are always welcome to ask us about the selected camp, and we'll check the database for them.
Hi, I have a question. Are there any income requirements for WPA? Thank you.
For working parents assistant, yes. Yes. It's for low income, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, I am most grateful, as I know that everybody else is, for the wonderful resources. There were a lot of questions and a lot of great resources. So we will certainly want to hear more from you as you offer a wealth of knowledge. And we have your contact information, so I hope it's okay if parents have questions that we can refer them to you. We are learning alongside our parents.
They're welcome to make referrals also. We serve children 3 to 13. And I know this is a busy time of the year and people are looking for opportunities for their kids to go to camp. So we're more than willing. Again, the camp, the maximum you can request is $1,000. So keep that in mind, and you can refer other families, friends to us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Stacy, are you with us?
I'm here.
Oh, before I say that, is Sharon here tonight?
Sharon is here tonight.
Yay. Okay, Sharon.
Hello. So yeah, a lot of this was already covered, but yes, I had so many phone calls and emails from parents who were so disappointed that the parent information session about the summer camps was canceled, that I sort of rallied the troops, and I got my friend Janine from up in the Parks Department. So she's going to join us, and we were able to schedule that for next week on Tuesday evening. So we are very excited to be able to answer questions about that. Registration did open at 6:30 on a snow day, which presented its own challenges. As you can imagine, some of the camps have filled, but the good thing is the ones that have filled were the very large programs, 80 to 110 kids, which often are not the most ideal setting for some of the special needs kids anyway. So a lot of the other ones, including our therapeutic recreation camps, which go up to age 21, still have plenty of openings in them. because many of the parents who have kids with 504s and with IEPs do tend to wait a little bit till they see what their kids' summer placements are going to look like before they commit to a camp. So we will be answering questions, talking a little bit about what the registration process looks like. I'll also address things like if your summer plans change, you opted not to go to ESY, or all of a sudden you got ESY and you weren't able to, and how we can help make those adjustments as painless as possible for everybody involved. So definitely looking forward to engaging with folks at that. It is going to be an action-packed hour because we have asked Nair to come in and talk a little bit then too, since that is in my conversations with parents, a lot of people didn't even know that that was a resource that is available to help pay for programs. So definitely, Mary Beth and I and some of the others that are involved in these conversations, we're just part of the web that we all weave, and we really want to be able to make all of those connections for folks in the most simplified way, because there's just a lot of pieces to it, and trying to connect to the right places at the right age at the right time can be very difficult. So our job is definitely here to welcome you and to make it easier. I also wanted to share with folks that are on here that our spring registration for recreation programs will begin on February 12th. That is a Monday morning. So if you're looking for swim lessons for the kiddos, that's when registration will open for that. Our spring programs will also open. We are starting to introduce a few more sports programs. On Monday night, I was very excited to go to Mid-County Community Center, where we launched our very first TR, Therapeutic Recreation Volleyball program. So we're looking to add things as we can find the staff and the providers to be able to do that. But if you have ideas, please shoot them to me. Things sometimes take a little while to get the space and the people in place, but we definitely are looking to listen and to hear what you all are looking for in terms of having the best rec experience possible. And then I'll close with our Fit in 24. We had a free in 23 pass, where you or anybody in your family could get a free gym membership to any of our recreation centers. And so that has been extended into 2024. So if you don't have that yet and you're interested in doing that, please feel free to do that at any of our rec centers. And that enables you to go to free family gym time, or if you as a parent just want to go walk the track, whatever works for your family, you can do that. So, just definitely take advantage of what's out there. I see that Derek is very kindly sharing our updated flyer for the upcoming workshop. So thank you. I look forward to seeing everybody then.
Sharon, there was a request that you put the link in for the camps, the information, if you could do that in the chat.
So Mary Beth has it up on the screen with the
she
Zoom
sure does.
link.
She put it in the chat too. Ha,
Okay.
Mary Beth.
Yeah, so I think we put a couple places, and it's on Mary Beth's webpage.
Great. Thank you so much. And Shameen, are you still there? I saw you were able to pop in. Would you like to jump on and do your public comment?
Yes, I'll go quickly. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you.
And first and foremost, my apologies. I had a last minute emergency phone call from a husband who was out of town, and so I'm glad to be here, but I'll make this quick. I know we're trying to wrap this up. I'm going to give a quick testimony. Good evening. My name is Shameen Nathaniel Williams, and I'm a parent with a young adult currently in the MCPS Special Education Transitions Program. I have 3 children who receive education within MCPS. I'm a volunteer special education rep for Cloverleaf Elementary School and Blake High School. I'm also a retired military veteran. My purpose today is to request that MCPS include on its annual school calendar Special Education Day on December 2nd. Special Education Day is celebrated nationally on December 2nd to commemorate the signing of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act into law. On this day in 1975, it was initially called the Education for All Handicapped Children Act of 1975, which was approved and passed by President Ford at that time. As many of you know, IDEA grants access to children with special needs to free and quality public education. Special Education Day started in 2005 on IDEA's 30th anniversary. The outcome anticipated, if implemented, is an increase in awareness of special education and the recognition for our special educators who are uniquely trained to teach and support differently abled students within a structured pre-K through 12 curriculum. They are charged to get it right. They are charged to be creative, think out of the box experts to ensure the academic, emotional, and social success of our children. While all teachers deserve limitless appreciation for the tremendous work they do, it's the special educator that not only provides instruction, but has to go the extra step in meticulously and thoughtfully tailoring and overseeing teams specific to several individualized education plans. School leadership, PTSAs, and special education reps would encourage opportunities to bring awareness and recognize their special education students and teachers on this day. And there's so many different examples where they can do that. I won't go through all of them for the sake of time, but some of those examples are encouraging students to be an aide for a day in a special education class, setting up a lunch recognition for our special educators, encouraging volunteers to join the Best Buddies program, and so on. We could always use volunteers for our Special Olympics. In summary, I know that by adjusting the school calendar to reflect this national holiday will give local schools the incentive to take a moment to say thank you. We see you and we appreciate you. Thank you for your consideration. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shameen. Thanks so much. I'm glad you were able to join us tonight and appreciate you sharing with us. The last little bit, as we close out tonight, we just wanted to address, many of you reach out to us directly at the Department of Special Ed Services, but also to our co-chairs. And we wanted to make sure that we acknowledge and address some of the questions that have come in, some of the ideas. We had some topics come in about access to electives at the secondary level. And we wanted to advise that your first place to go there is to contact your administrator, talk with the IEP team. You also have the case manager at the secondary level. You have a RITSE, the resource teacher for special education. Great places to start if you have questions about student schedules. Sometimes electives are tricky because there can be just a 1 or a 2 offered during the day. And so sometimes it takes some conversation and decision making when you're looking at the electives and what your child will have access to. For math interventions, there's been some questions about how to support students who are struggling in math. And math interventions are available at the elementary and secondary level. If there are any questions or concerns, again, the first place to start is contacting the teacher and the case manager, as well as the school administrator. There are supervisors and instructional specialists that support each and every school in our county, and they are another great resource. If you have questions or difficulties accessing one of your child's teachers, your first point of contact should be the school administrator. Your RITSE, if it's a secondary level, is also a good point of contact that can help facilitate the homeschool communication system, but also one of the school administrators. As a former elementary assistant principal, I helped facilitate a lot of homeschool communication, so I can speak from experience there. 504 questions. We do have, there's a coordinator, Shannon Farmer, and she would be your point of contact for any 504 questions or concerns, and how to work together, making sure that the teachers are aware of accommodations and supports that students need as part of their 504 plan. Last but not least, and this showed up in our chat this evening, and I was typing and trying to copy in as we were meeting, people asked to make sure that we provided access to the great resources that are often shared in our conversation and our chat throughout our SECAC meetings. So as we were meeting tonight, we were making sure we captured that. That will be posted on our website when we post the video recording as well on the SECAC website. So this will go out and we'll have a resource page that will list the links that were shared along with some of the phone numbers that were also shared. So The last thing we want you to do, next slide, Derek, is make sure that you provide us with your feedback and your ideas. We do take them. We are listening. We want to incorporate them into our meetings. This is the link where you sign up for public comment. If you sign up for public comment, I will reach out to you to make sure we have an opportunity to speak and make sure you know when and what time you'll be speaking, and to answer any questions that you may have about the process. And this is also the link where you request an interpreter if you would like to request an interpreter for an upcoming meeting. The very last link that we'll share is our evaluation. We want to hear from you. This is how we get ideas about your needs and are we meeting your needs? Do you have different ideas for the SECAC meetings? So thank you. We appreciate it. We read it, we take it, and we use it. So please give us your input. And we want
had
to
one
thank
question.
our
We had one question in the chat. It was several high schools are offering smaller support, non-resource classes for kids with executive function challenges. Is this a county-wide effort? So I think the best answer to say honestly is that schools do have some flexibility, particularly secondary schools with their offerings. So I cannot tell you that it's countywide. It's probably the school team really looking at who they are serving and differentiating their resources to meet the needs of the students. If there's something further that you're interested in, we would be happy to connect you to the special education supervisor to help you navigate that conversation with the IEP team and of course the administration. And then I see, is there an update on the bus tracking app? So I know that, and Amy, I think you were with me, we met, transportation is starting to use it, testing it.
Yes, I believe they're starting with a pilot, so that is definitely coming out, and it's definitely going forward with a rollout coming up.
Sounds like that might be an upcoming topic, Stacy.
I think so. So last but not least, certainly we wanted to make sure you're aware of our upcoming meetings. Our next meeting will be February 29th. It's hard to believe we're halfway through. So February 29th, 2024 is our next meeting. We will continue to send out reminders and updates. And if you hear of anybody that would like to be added to our list, we are working on Connect Ed. Thank you, Winter. I saw you on here today, and she's helping assist us with our communication. So thank you with that. And
I'm sorry, one other thing. Amy, would you like to tell us about X-Minds?
Yes, X-Minds, and I believe Mary Beth has something up on her website about it, if I'm not mistaken. X-Minds or Extraordinary Minds is one of our great partner organizations, and they are hosting on 2 separate nights what we're calling placement primers. And it will be discussing the transitions of from pre-K to K, an elementary to secondary, and a transition focused session. So I believe that the information is on Mary Beth's website. It will and we will definitely get it there. It's 2 nights in February that I can't remember off the top of my head.
I got you. The 20th is secondary, where we will, and this correlates directly to what was asked earlier.
Yes, it
is
does,
a
yeah.
conversation about the services in Montgomery County Public Schools. So on February 20th, it's the secondary services, and on February 22nd, it is the elementary services.
And this is also virtual. We find also, like SECAC, that virtual attendance is great. So the X-Minds website has that information. Thank you, Maggie. I know you have it.
And then Stacy, can you post the link for SECAC feedback again for families?
I sure will.
I think we are done. I will just add, because you did say Dr. Bingham was here, but I do want to make sure that everyone knows Dr. Bingham's position. She is our special education liaison, and she works directly in the Deputy Superintendent's office. So she is yet another resource for you as you navigate Montgomery County Public Schools. All right, everybody. Thank you so much once again for attending. stay warm, and be safe. Have a good evening.
Good night, everybody.